Okay, so hello, good afternoon. I'm so happy to see a few known faces around. So thank you for being here. Um, my name is Diego Leal. I'm going to talk to you about the experience I had the last year leading the first open online courses offered in Colombia. And my background is a little different from that of the last two presenters. I work with universities, private universities so far. And I think I'm trying to do something a little bit different, but it's up to you to see how different that is. So first, I like to start by explaining a little bit about how did we get here. And in the beginning, there was David Wiley in 2007 with his Introduction to Open Education course. This was like one of the first experiences I saw of a university, not private university, of a university opening up the teaching experience to students all around the world. It's not about the provision of resources, but about the whole learning experience. In 2007, Lick Blackwell from New Zealand did something like that too, his course facilitating online. And then in 2008, Alec Ross did something like that with his course on social media and open education. And Alex says that the practice that he's trying to model is something that he calls open teaching. And it has to do with transparency, with making the process visible and transparent and allowing access to people from all around the world. And in 2008, Stephen Downes and George Simmons offered the course of Connectivism and Connective Knowledge, CCK. And this was an interesting experience because it was massive. So it was like the first massive open online course, and they even got a name for it, MOOC, M-O-O-Z. And the scale of this course showed something different. You have an issue when you have hundreds of learners participating in a course. You have too much information coming from all sides, and you have to rethink a bit the role of the facilitator, the role of teacher, and you actually there's a whole discussion about that that is going on for the last few months, but this is 2008, so at the time I was participating in CCK, and I was wondering, well, how come that we don't have something like this in Latin America, and at least in Colombia, and what could I do to replicate this experience in my own context? And I have to think a little bit about how does that work. So, to make it quick, you have syllabus and activities published in wiki platforms. You have individual reflection that is that happens in blogs, in public blogs platforms. You have asynchronous communication using tools like Moodle or Google Groups. You have synchronous communication in some of these courses using things like Elluminate, DimDim, or WizIQ. And you have also bookmarking using platforms as Digo or Delicious. So this changes from one course to the other. In the case of CCK, was something like this, with a set of tools. But because of the scale, they had to tackle a different problem. So they tackled the problem of how do you aggregate and distribute information coming from so many different sources. And they used something called Grasshopper, developed by Stephen Downes, which enabled them to send daily email messages that looked like this in 2008. Right now it looks a bit different, but the idea is this. Participants could get daily messages about the things happening in the blogs of the participants in the course. So I got there and I got questions because I have a problem. I was wondering, how can I do something like this, but with a few restrictions? I do have restrictions, given my context. One of them is I didn't want self-hosting. So why didn't I want self-hosting? Because I wanted to make it easy for other people to replicate this. If I have to download, install, have my own server and stuff, it's difficult. The entry level, it's a bit high. Not that high in these days, but it's high still. So I will be using public tools. Maybe not freely available tools, but at least public tools. And given that I'm from Colombia, but I'm living at the time in Rio de Janeiro, I will have fully online courses. and open enrollment. And finally, I will focus on the most common tools. Now, common is a tricky word, because what's common? And for the case of Colombia, most teachers have not heard about RSS, for example. So it's common, it's a tricky word. And when you think about it, the killer application is still email for most of our teachers. So there's a challenge there. You have to bring information to teachers using the platforms that they're used to. If I try to bring them to a new place where they need to give some of their attention, that adds to the entry-level barrier. So this is what I had to do. I had to take all this, but I have to leave out Moodle and I have to leave out Grasshopper. So the question is, how do I get that done to enhance reuse and replication of this infrastructure? So I had the chance to do that with 3 different courses in the last year. The first is called e-learning. It's an exploration of the present and future of e-learning in Colombia. It's offered by Universidad de la Sabana in Bogota. The second one is called Groups, Networks, and Communities. It was an exploration of concepts and processes and similarities and differences between these structures. It was offered by Universidad de Afit. And the third one is called, the code name is DocTIC. It has to do with the practice of teaching in learning environments mediated by ICT. And it's offered by Universidad Pontificia Bolivariana in Medellin. So the timeline of this goes like this. In 2009, between May and July, I solved the problem of aggregation and distribution. Then in September 18, the first course started, ended successfully in November 17. On October 21, started the second course, but it was postponed on November 19. I'm going back to that in a moment. In 2010, I worked a little bit on the aggregation and distribution problem. And in February, we started the Groups, Networks, and Community course. It ended successfully on March 30. I worked a little bit more on the aggregation. And I got to a point where it's quite easy to me and to anyone who wants to use that to use that infrastructure for their own course. And okay, so there's a second offer of e-learning, and in between July and October, a few weeks ago ended DocTIC. So there have been participants from all around the world. This is participants in the course of e-learning, and you get to see that in 2009 there were 13 people enrolled for credit. Of them, 12 completed the course. In the open modality where 31 registered, only 4 were active participants. And I think it's important to talk about these numbers because we get to hear that there are thousands of hundreds of people participating in these courses, but participation, again, is a tricky word. It can mean a lot of things. In 2010, there were 14 participants and only 10 completed the course, and 29 open participants, and again, only 4 active participants. With Greek, happened something similar. In 2009, there were only 4. It was more like a study group, but the course was canceled. And there were only 19 people participating in open modality and 1 active participant in the few weeks that lasts. And here I would say that maybe there's a critical mass that you have to reach to get this process started. If you have only 4 people blogging at times, it may be quite difficult to start a process like this. So in 2010, we had 7 people, all of them completed the course. We had 3 or 4 people on the open modality and 3 of them active participants. On DocTIC, the scale changed a little bit. We have 25 people, 25 formal people, so to speak. All of them completed the course, and 93 people registered in open modality, and it was like, wow, I was surprised. 93 people. I mean, I'm not Downs or Siemens, so I'm used to TOOC, Tiny Open Online Courses. And then again, there were only 4 active participants. So it looks like I haven't been able to overcome the 4 active participants barrier. But even with those 4, interesting things happen. So what did I do? any course have people and have resources. And you have to do something with those resources, some kind of activity, it depends on your educational design, and you have you get people to interact with those resources. In my case, this interaction is a reflection on a personal blog. So that's the reason why the guy in orange down doesn't have an arrow going to him, because he may be reading and doing things, but he's not reflecting on his blog. He's not making public the things he's doing. There are interactions between participants, those are comments on personal blogs, and then you have like the imaginary and artificial boundary of a normal course. We're used to those boundaries, right? There are not enough chairs, we cannot see enough people, there are someone who handles the password, so I cannot enroll anyone I want. So the idea is to try and push the boundaries a little bit, and when you do that, you get to bring to the course people. Funny, there are 4 here also. Anyway, so you get to bring people to that experience, and they can have their own blogs, and they can participate, and then you have the imaginary and artificial boundary of an open course. It's not like anything goes. You have a time limit, you have a subject area, some kind of subject that you're discussing, and then you have resources that are brought by participants to the course. And the thing is that you have to capture all this somehow. You have, in fact, an extended network. And the point here is that when you finish the course, the artificial boundaries disappear and the network remains. So in the end, that's the idea behind all of this, that you get people to create their own networks and to sustain those networks with a short time experience. These are courses of 8-10 weeks. So I still wonder if it's enough time to do that, but that's another discussion. The issue is, how do you capture all these interactions, right? So what I did was this. Everyone has a blog, so they can create their blogs wherever they want. They have to register the RSS feed of their blogs in a Google Docs form, which is embedded in a wiki in PBWorks. I take a CSV, a comma-separated value output from Google Docs, and I take it to Yahoo Pipes. And using Yahoo Pipes, I generate one single feed, which I bring to FeedBurner, and then I have a RSS subscription or a Daily Digest subscription. So I get 2 possibilities for participants to get information from the course. The good thing is that I'm not kind of punishing those who are more tech savvy, because I'm connecting all this with Twitter. So if you're using Twitter, you get information by Twitter. You're not constrained by, because using your blog, you can include, obviously, YouTube, Flickr, slideshare material, whatever. And I'm collecting the comments and generating one more feed with that. I'm using Diego to collect resources, and I'm sending all that to Twitter feed too. So participating in these courses is writing and commenting in blogs, in your own blog or in other people's blogs, and maybe contributing with the resources to Diego. Getting information is to be subscribed, as you wish, to the information of the course. You can be subscribed to Twitter, and you can be subscribed to Diego. And there are weekly activities that are posted on a wiki, and an email that goes out every week to inform that something new is happening. So this is the set of tools that I'm using. I solved the problem of aggregation distribution using a mashup of Yahoo Pipes, Google FeedBurner, which gives me email. And I don't have a space for asynchronous communication. It happens in the blogs of participants. So you have a problem there, because it's very distributed. So that's an issue. But it's not all about the tools, obviously. I would say that the experience I experienced so far has to do also with the design of the course. But I will be more than happy to talk in detail to you later about the design of the course. There's not enough time to do it here. So what does it look like? It looks like this. You have the material of the courses. This is the an example of a wiki. Some people used, in fact, that wiki to create a collection, kind of a portfolio of their posts, of the things they were doing. It was up to them. The interactions are capturing the blogs of the participants. So these are some of the examples of the things that the participants do. you get to see the variety, the diversity of the blogs and of the products that they create at the end of each course. And okay, when you open, when you push the boundaries, you get blogs from open participants, of course. These are some examples. And you get also the resources. You need to get those resources somewhere. So we have groups in Diego, like I said. And we also have Illuminate sessions. We try to do their different things. I draw a lot of ideas from Diego, absolutely. And we have an archive of those sessions, and we have Twitter for those who want to use it. And like I said, I'm capturing this and I'm generating email subscriptions which look like this. So participants have a daily email which contains all the blog posts or all the comments happening everywhere. So here you can see comments coming from blogs, from the wiki, or from Twitter. And at the core of all this is Yahoo pipes. So this is good and this is bad at the same time. And I'm using those pipes for several things. I have several parameters, so it makes it easier for anyone to use that, to change those parameters and have their own aggregation system, so to speak. I'm using those pipes to generate the maps that I showed you at the beginning. It's automatic. I'm using their ideas of Tony Hurst, which is just fantastic doing that. I'm using a pipe. The URLs are just shortcuts to the actual Yahoo pipe, anyway, which generate posts. And using that and some other parameters, I get another feed, like I said, of comments, where you have who said what and where. And using another pipe, I get information about who say what to whom, where, right? So when you have the possibility to know who said to whom, you can maybe think about the evolution of the conversation, right? And maybe you can do something like this. You can draw for credit participants and non-credit participants and other participants, people who are not actually registering the course, and you can do things like this. So this is a graph of the conversation happening in the first e-learning course. This is a graph of the conversation happening in the first Greek groups, networks, and communities course. But you can also get to see the evolution on time. So what you get to see here is day by day the way that the graph evolves. So you get to see that some circles are growing up or are growing down. Every line means a comment in a vlog, in interaction where someone speaks to someone or gets an answer. You get to see that there are people who have strong ties of communication, others are kind of isolated. And this is useful because as a facilitator, you get to see who's getting behind, even if you have a lot of people. So this is useful, and actually I'm using this kind of graphs to show in the weekly sessions that we have where is everyone. So it's kind of a social control measure. No one wants to be the very small circle or the very small square in the graph. But it also helps to make a case about why open is important. Because when you take away all the participants, all the non-formal participants, you get this. It's a lot of richness what you lost when you close the environment. And you get to see that in another graph, in DocTick. You get to see here that when you take away all the people that are not formal participants, this is what is left. So you are missing a lot. And it's clear to participants that they are missing a lot. You get to do centrality analysis, for example, to see who are the most visible people in the graph. And it's interesting. It's a common thing that the people who comment the most are not the former participants. If you see here and in the other graphs I have, former participants are in the middle. The people leading and pushing the group around are open participants. So where do we go from here? when you have the possibility to know this, to build these graphs, it makes sense to try and make it automatic, right? It's something that it's not that automatic yet. I'm working on that, and I'd say it's going well, but there's a lot of work and opportunities to do things there. So, for example, you can think about an analytics layer. You can create a new layer above the public tools that we have, above the aggregation tools that we have. And you can even think about the personalized relation building based on content analysis, for example, or based on profiles of people. You could have the system actually suggesting someone to connect with someone else. You can try and bring those people who are isolated in the graph to the center of the discussion. And you can have enhanced facilitation tools. As you can see, all of these are questions because are opportunities for work. This is where I am at the time. Yahoo Pipes sits at the center of this, and that it's good because anyone can use that right now. It's quite easy, in fact, but it's bad because it depends on a commercial provider. So maybe it makes sense, in something that I'm starting to explore with the university I'm attached to in Brazil, to think about public, non-commercial aggregation services, not portals, but services. So you can have a generative platform. It's not about creating a new portal where everyone should go. No. My approach is more of, why don't we create small tools that anyone can use to create their own things? In fact, is already happening. Some of the students in the courses use this to create their own courses. It's been easy for some, it's been not that easy for others, but they are doing it. So my interest here is try to make it a little bit easier. When you think about the graphs, and this has all to do with the work I'm hoping to start with in Rio de Janeiro, you can think about cognitive profiles. Is there any relation between the participation and the cognitive profile of someone? Are there conditions for participating successfully? Does it depend on the cognitive profile? And is there any relation with autonomy, self-direction, metacognitive skills, agency? And even I don't know if worse or better, could cognitive profile predict participation? If I have the cognitive profile of someone, I could kind of predict what will happen with his or her participation, and I could do something in advance. You have these 3 courses, but right now I'm trying to think beyond courses. What if you think about the local? I mean, local in Colombia, for example. Complete program based on these ideas. 8 weeks, 10 weeks maybe are not enough. And something that it's clear is that the LMS is convenient. That's a fact. It's easy to use, everything is in the same place, it's not that messy, but I would say it's not that authentic. It's not what people are exposed every day. When you get out of the formal system, you don't get that many people using LMS systems. So that's a concern to me. When you push the boundaries, you get to think also about a broader discussion. I think about, wonder about replication, sustainability. Maybe it's a process too transparent. What about the medium is the message? Is that true? I think about economic issues. I would say institutions in my country at least are not thinking really about the implication of these kind of practices and about the way it relates to policy. And in the end, I have this huge worry right now after coming from Berlin. I was yesterday there with someone here, and is this worry about how does this create real impact? I mean, are we trying to build commons? How do we enhance a relation between the digital commons, which are based on abundance, and the analog commons, which are endangered and are not that abundant? Are we really trying to build local community with this? So I would say it's not about, are people learning more? I would say it's about empowerment. It's about, are people able to change their immediate world? Because it really amazes me. Many of the teachers I've worked with so far, they are really disempowered. They don't feel that they have any chance to change anything. And that really concerns me. So I would like to finish with that question. How do we create real impact? Thank you very much.